What's up, you guys? It's Warren with Scale Audio, and today we're going to talk about the doubler. What a doubler does it's going to create multiple tracks out of one track to help widen your sound. So let's check it out. For this example, we're going to use a vocal sample I got off of Splice. Here's our vocal.
And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple doublers, and I'll show you what we've got with those doublers, okay? So first things first, one of the easiest and one of my favorites is going to be the waves doubler, okay? And if we notice here, we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 different channels, okay? Each of these channels is going to have a pan. That's how hard left or hard right it's going to be going. Negatives to our left, positive is to our right. We're also going to have our delays for those vocals set up here. And we've got a 2-band EQ here. As you can see, the highs are boosted. And this just makes sense in general. It's coming that way default because there's more room in the stereo field at higher frequencies. And plus, when you're generally doing doubles, you're generally trying to add just a bigger, brighter sound. Not always the case, but that's just good application right there. So what we're going to have with this doubler in place.
And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free.
Right? Versus with it off.
And I feel free for the first time.
On.
And I feel free.
Okay. And if we wanted, I'll take the volume down of the middle voice so we can just hear the sides.
And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free.
Okay, without.
For the first
with.
time.
Right? And so that's basically what it's going to do. It's going to make it feel wider by adding to both sides and making them different. You can't really just take the same signal and add it to one side and the other and have it sound wider or bigger. The reason for this is you're taking the exact same audio, and what that's doing is just going to make the right or left more powerful, which instead of it becoming wider, it's actually going to just make it feel like it pans more to the right or pans more to the left. Okay, a doubler is made to make it wider and avoid the panning issues. And you're generally going to find not just delay, but if we notice here, we've also got detune, okay? We've got depth, and we've got rate. And what these have to do is with the modulation and the changing of the voice. And the reason that doublers are generally always going to do this is because of what's called phase issues. So what I've got here is my explanation to you of phase problems. Let's say right across the center here, if we put a line there, that would be 0, okay? Below that line, this curve down here on the bottom is going to be negative. Above that line, this curve on the top is going to be positive. That is your sound waves. If we look right here, we can see my sound waves coming in from myself speaking. You're going to see some above, negative, some above, positive, and some below, which is negative, okay? Now, what happens if we take this, for example? What you'll notice is this goes negative the exact same amount that it goes positive here. Let's just address these as numbers. If this is positive, and let's call this just 1, okay? And this is negative, and it's going the same amount, it's going to be 1. If you add those together, what do you get? You get 0, nothing, nada, nil, okay? It cancels each other out. And so that is where phase issues come in. If you have sound waves and they're going opposite and you add them together, now you have a lack of sound or sound missing, okay? And that's going to be considered phasing issues. I'll give you an example on this vocal, okay? If I have this vocal here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this,
and I feel
I'm going to route it to 2 here. So now I've got
and I feel free
this playing into both of these here. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the vocal, this one, and I'm going to flip it like we did that one. Okay. And we're going to have them both in their own channels. Okay. Feeding off of here. So what's going to happen is if I reverse it, okay, reverse the polarity. Okay. I want you to notice these two vocals, since they're reversed, are canceling each other out. Unreversed, reversed, canceling each other out. So now, though, if you notice, if we start panning these, we'll start hearing it. It's still going to fight with each other where it hits the center, but at least we've kind of got some sound coming back. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to delay one a little bit. So if I go to Valhalla delay on just one of these, I'm going to turn it to just wet. I'm going to take a short delay, like 18 seconds, no feedback. Okay.
And I feel free.
Wow, all of a sudden, for the most part, our phasing issues went away. Now what we're going to do is we're going to send these both to their own channels. So what we have is we have our original. So now you think the fact that we delayed it and we got one left and right, everything's perfectly fine, right?
And I feel free for the first.
Right? Now what happens though? This is our mono to stereo. I'm going to start turning it mono.
And I feel free for the first time.
Listen to when he says free.
And I feel free.
See, we got a little bit of wobbles and some oddities going on in there. And that is because these things are kind of canceling each other out, because the fact that we're just having a short delay, and now we're offsetting these waves a little bit. So if I take this, we'll go back to normal, but I offset it like that, you can see that we're still going to have some higher stuff added where the lower is going, and we're still going to have some lower stuff here, okay, that is going, just, you get it, it's the high to the low right here is just kind of causing an issue. This starts going up while this is still down. So when we bring it back together mono, now we're starting to do those mathematics again where they aren't in their own space. One's not all the way to the left, one's not all the way to the right. So what people started doing is they started kind of modulating the sound. So if I go to my Valhalla delay here, they should have a modulation. Let's just turn this crap up because I can. Let's see if this does anything. Not entirely sure how that's going to work, if it's going to help.
And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free.
That is the basic idea of, what we're doing is we're changing the sound of one versus the other. And so we're fighting those phasing issues, and we're also going to be adding these channels that are all supposed to work together to create a thicker, fuller sound, okay? That's the idea of doubling, and those are the tools that doublers are generally going to have in them. That's what we're looking at here.
And I feel free.
We're looking at our pan, okay? We're looking at our delays, so the amount of latency for the next one. We're looking at these detuning, which is changing the pitch and tones, which is helping them not be the same and helping them add a little bit of flavor. And we're looking at our LFO. We got the depth, the LFO, and the rate. So these actually aren't really modulating, but I can change them to do so. And you'll see that as an example here, okay? So that's the basics of that. If we open another doubler, now this one, it's not as fancy. Instead, you're just gonna have separation and variation, okay? Let's take a listen to just one knob.
And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free.
And there's a couple people who make plugins like that where you aren't going to have all the knobs. So taking a look at another doubler, you're going to notice a completely different interface, but it's basically all the same. Okay. We got an equalizer for the doubles that are coming in. All right. We also have the amount of voices. So this is 4 versus when we were looking at waves, we just had those 2 engaged. There were still 4 on waves, but just the amount of voices. Stereo spread, how far they're panned. We don't get to choose for each one, but that's okay. All right. We've got frequency modulation, which means it's going to change the pitches and tones in those, as well as amplitude modulations. It's going to change how loud it is. Um, and that's pretty much going to give us somewhat of the same effect.
And I feel free for the first time.
Without it,
And I feel free for the first time.
that in a nutshell is going to be, I mean, what doubling is. You're going to be taking one signal and you're going to be multiplying it into different signals that have different feelings and attenuations and modulations to them. And you're going to spread it across your stereo field in order to create a bigger, fuller sound. I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, please like the video. If you have a comment, please comment. And a subscribe is always appreciated. This is Warren with Scale Audio, and adios.